Good afternoon and welcome. You're listening live to Heart, a program which aims to help you understand and to become your loving self at KMET 1490 AM ABC Radio Live. This is Dr. Mitra Rashidian. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sexologist in full-time private practice located in beautiful Encino, California. And I would like to welcome you to our first program in 2022. Happy New Year. Along here with my business partner, with my colleague, with my mentor, and my best friend of 18 years, Dr. Robert Jaffe, who's also a psychotherapist and a certified hypnotherapist. And we are here to offer you another program, the first one in 2022. And welcome, Dr. Jaffe, and welcome all of you. And thank you for choosing this hour to be with us.
Thank you, and welcome everybody, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2022.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how quickly the time passes as we age.
Oh yeah.
and I'm also remembering how long it seemed to take to get to the year 2000.
Yes.
Like it seemed like the year 2000 was always a long, long way off. And it seems to me, and it's again, I think it's just a matter of getting older. But to me, since 2000, the time has just flown.
Yes.
And I think it is. Someone explained to me or stated to me that has to do with the fact that every year is. In comparison to how long we've lived, is a smaller fraction.
Yes.
So let's say if you're 40, a year is 1/40th, right? But if you're 60, a year is 1/60th, and if you're 70, a year is 1/70th, and that's why it appears to go so much faster. And I don't know. I think there's some truth in that. But I do know that for me, my life has gotten better and it's more enriching every day that I'm alive. I have a lot more appreciation, a lot more gratitude for the people and for the way life goes. So I'm happier and happier as time goes on. I love doing the work that I do. I love being around the people that I'm around. And I love helping people get to the next level, whatever that is for them. Each person moves towards enlightenment in their own way and in their own time. And in our profession, we help people become more enlightened, which to me means eliminating a lot of the darkness. And the darkness is the pain and the unhappiness that a lot of us carry. And enlightenment seems to bring the light, shining the light onto the dark places, which lightens them up literally and figuratively, and has the potential of making us much happier. So that's why I love what I do, and that's why I love sharing this program and bringing some enlightenment, hopefully, to you as listeners. We would love for you to be involved in this program. We would love for you to call us or to email us. Our phone number, if you want to call us while we're on the air until 5 o'clock, is 951-922-3532. Or you can look us up on the KMET homepage and leave us any notes or any questions you have, and we'll be happy to answer.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful, poetic, and true introduction that you provided to us today. And it was so heartfelt, and I would just say ditto to that.
Ditto. Thank you.
Yes. You talked about the passings of the years, and I was just looking at a ring that I wear today, and without even thinking that, I bought this ring, which is, a tiny you know, small flower. I bought this 45 years ago in Hong Kong.
Wow.
You know, and back then, of course, it was fitting in the different finger, but now it has moved all the way to my pinky. Okay. So that says a lot about progress.
Okay.
You know, but I was just, having all this, review in my mind that, my God, 45 years went by so quickly, and it's like that if I want to go back, I can remember most of it. And so what I'm thinking about right now is everything that went on during the past 45 years for me has made me who I am today, right this minute. I have had good times. I have had very good times. I have had unhappy times and very severe unhappy times. But whatever it is, I learned that I can survive, I can make it, I can move forward, and I can leave behind what I don't want to carry with me. And, it's just basically the message I'm bringing here to the table is that once you put your mind in doing something for yourself, you can do it. It's just having appreciation for who you are, having appreciation for what you want, sense of gratitude you mentioned, which is a very authentic and powerful feeling that we can have and experience, and appreciate everything around us. Through that appreciation is that we can feel safe and move forward in our lives. Whether it doesn't matter how old we are, what matters is how much we appreciate, our surroundings, people that they are in our lives, and for whatever they bring to our lives. Everybody is doing that at the level of their capacity, and it's up to us to just value that, have no expectations, and take what we can, take what works for us, and help and offer back, because when we take, we have to give back, so that there is a balance. And then just focus on our goals and move forward with that.
Yeah, William James, who was considered the father of modern psychology, said the most important and powerful lesson that we have learned about psychology is that by changing the way we view things, we can change our lives. By changing our inner life, our inner thoughts, our inner beliefs, we affect the outer world. And that's what I want to continue to let everybody think about, is that if your life is not the way you want it to be, it has to do with the way that you've been interpreting the meanings, the meanings that you give to things. And that you can look at 10 people can look at the same automobile accident, and all 10 of them will have a different perspective of what happened. Even to the point where one of them says that A caused it and another one says that B caused it. And they're both telling the truth because they're telling their perspective. So in the book The Prophet, which is by Khalil Gibran, one of my favorites, he says, "Say not, I have found the truth. Say instead, I have found a truth." And there are many truths. Some of them are contradictory. Are we all living or are we all dying? For example, we are all both. Right? From the moment that we're put on this planet, we begin the living process. We also begin the dying process. And none of us know exactly when that's going to happen, when the death is going to happen. But we do know that every day we have choices to make as to how we view things. And how we view things determines how we will feel about things, which will determine how we behave, which will then determine how we are responded to.
Right.
And the way that we get responded to is is not outside of our ability to affect. That if we don't like the way people are responding to us, we need to look at how we're putting ourselves out there and what messages we're giving.
Exactly. So basically, we are the creator of our own lives.
Well, actually, I think of it as the co-creator.
Co-creator,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, our parents created us.
Well, our parents, yeah, but we're co-creators in that if we find people around us who want what we want, it becomes more powerful. If we
Yes.
find people around us who don't want what we want, then our own creation takes more energy to get it across the finish line.
Yes, so it's a matter of, who are we dancing with in life,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, whether we are stepping on each other's toes or whether we are having a harmony and go through the harmony,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we continue to accept for others to step on our toes, then we need to ask ourselves why.
Yeah, yeah. What can I do differently is the enlightened person's question.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, how can I change A or B or C is an unenlightened question. You cannot change them. However, when you act in a different way, you are more likely to elicit a different response.
Yes, in other words, asking ourselves, well, this system is not working for me. So what can I do differently for myself
What can I do differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing, how can I change this person or that person?
Mm-hmm.
Or how can I change the situation? Well, we don't have that power. Nobody's that powerful. The only power that we have is how can I perform? How can I decide? How can I have a different outlook to life so that I can manage it through that, difference.
Right. So if for example, we want more love in our life, the first thing to take a look at is how loving am I being?
Right.
Right. If I'm putting out loving messages, I'm not going to guarantee that I will get them back. However, if I'm putting out loving messages, I'm much more likely to get loving messages back. Just as if I'm putting out angry, hateful, or unloving messages, I'm much more likely to get that back.
Exactly. And love is the essence of this program, right? We always say at the end of our program, all you need is love. And
Mm-hmm.
that is so true. Love, so powerful. And some of us are able to find it early on. Some of us, they find it across their lifespan. Some of us are born to a loving family, and some of us are not. But no matter how we find love, is when we are home, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's love, with, it's romantic love, or it's a friendship love, or, parental love, siblings love, whatever it is, love is important, and we're all working on how to create love for ourselves and for the ones that we care about in our lives, and therefore, as a result, how to give and exchange love with each other.
Mm.
Right.
Yep. So then, what is love? And there's so many definitions of love. It's certainly something that is talked about. It's a ubiquitous topic. It's probably the most ubiquitous topic that people talk about, write about, make movies about. So, what is love? And one definition is a very simple one. Love is looking for the good.
Yes. So let's talk more about that. Thank you for that definition.
Sure.
Right after our commercial break. Welcome back to commercial break. Dr. Mitra and Dr. Robert here at Heart to Heart program at KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio Live. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. Happy New Year. This is our first program. And we would like to invite you to please join us. We are interested in hearing your stories because stories are telling us so much information that we don't know about. You know, stories are powerful. Each story is unique, and each one of them, you know, carries at least several, you know, important life messages that we all need to know about and we all need to experience and we want to experience. So it would be nice to, to know, how you made it through life. It's nice to know, what you have learned, and some of what we are sharing here. How are they similar, different, and what's your take about what you're hearing here, and how what we say applies to your story, into your life. And that's why we're here, right? We are here to provide information, education, exchange information, and so that we can, have a easier, more fulfilled life here. And we want to know what we say here, how much can, is you resonate with it or not. And basically, you know of somebody else that, in your opinion, they can benefit from our discussions here. So please call us. Let us know, 951-922-3532. Also, we would like to know what can we do differently so that the program becomes more joyful and enjoyable and more meaningful to you. So these are all the questions that we don't have the answers unless you tell us and help us here so that we can provide you with a better, more fulfilling, more insightful program that you can, have more when you're spending your hour with us, whether you're driving home, whether you're driving to work. So it's best to listen to something that is more enjoyable for you, and this is how we can improve our program. So thank you for that. Dr. Jaffe, welcome back.
Thank you.
We were talking about what is love, and how love, you said, it has different meanings, and you started with your meanings on that.
Well, the one definition that's probably the simplest definition that I've heard, there's many definitions, all of which can be very powerful. The simplest definition that I heard, which I liked also, was that love is looking for the good. And what that means is that it's interesting that Albert Einstein said that I want to know God's thoughts. And when asked why he wanted to know God's thoughts, he answered and he said, I want to know whether God is working in my best interest. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say exactly that, but that's basically what he wanted to know.
Right.
I think what he said actually was, is the universe a safe place? But basically, that's what he was saying. Is the universe a safe place? Meaning that, are things going to work out? What does that mean? It brings up so many questions about life and possibly afterlife. What actually is this universe? Is it simply a manifestation of a cosmic accident, right? Or is there something actually beyond that? And my belief and my experience has taught me that absolutely there is something that's beyond that. I've had my own personal experiences that have shown me that there are many things that are beyond that. Science is constantly moving forward, and we're able to do things now through science that only a century ago were just in the imagination. Even in the 1960s, I'm a Star Trek fan, and even in the 1960s, when Star Trek was going on, they had communicators, which we didn't have at the time, and Captain Kirk would pull out his communicator, flip it open, and then talk to somebody else who wasn't connected through any wires or anything. He would just talk to somebody else, and that person would open their communicator, and they'd have a conversation. And that was just science fiction. That was only in the 1960s, right?
Yeah, and the doors opening and closing.
And the
by
doors
itself.
opening and closing without anybody there to push any buttons or do anything, right? So many things have come to pass that in the past we looked at as magic, right? But now we're able to see, oh, there's actually science. It was just a lack of our knowledge. And I believe that's where we are headed, is into developing our knowledge so that what seems impossible to us now is not going to be impossible. Um, and the only question that I have is, uh, are enough people going to be around who want the good versus the people being around who don't really care about whether it's good or not, but only care about what's self-serving? And my hope and my wish and my life is devoted to helping people who want to bring in more love into the world. And I do believe that in the end, I'm paraphrasing one of my mentors, a man who died in 2012, who was a psychiatrist and a spiritual leader, Dr. David Hawkins. He said, in the end, it's not so much what we do in the world, but rather who we become that matters.
Right.
And I believe that that's the case, because who we become has to do with the energy that we bring into life. And our energy is based on how loving we can be.
Exactly.
And that's my belief, and that's how I work with the people in my life, both in my profession and in my personal life. I try to embody somebody who's loving. I'm not always successful, but that's still my goal.
And these are powerful messages, of who we become in life, right? That matters. And I got some, got a flashback about, some parents that I know that they think that they can make their children to become who the parents believe that it's good to become.
Right.
Right. From the moment of birth, the girl infant is beautiful, princess. The boy becomes the prince, the macho, the strong, the tough. And these are our initial messages that we get about who we need to become. A little princess, daddy's little girl, or the, protector of the home, the macho boy, and all of that. That's pretty much the general first identity that we get. And we assume that role. And if it goes unnoticed, guess what? That becomes the rest of our life, right? And then girls were wondering how come nobody else is treating them like a little princess. Boys are going to wonder how come nobody else thinks that they are macho and tough and and all of that, right? And so that's the part of it. Another part that parents do initially, that they assign the profession that the child, that they dream for their children to have, like a doctor, a lawyer, a surgeon, an engineer. So these are the top rank common, professions that parents, wish for their children. I mean, some of the problems that we see here in therapy is an indication of that, I disappointed my parents and I became nobody. But the person has a profession, but they refer to themselves as nobody because the father, the mother, they wanted the child to become something different, like something of the top 10 percentile of the society, right? And many of these children, they can't even make it through college or even high school, So the sense of disappointment that we give to children in that sense becomes who they become.
Right.
And then so the expectations that we impose on our children ultimately doesn't make them become who they are actually, naturally or desire to become. We don't allow them to do the children for them to do their own exploration in the world and to realize what are their interests and what is it that they want to become as as a person, as a professional, as a human being in general. It's just that society is looking so much on the role assignments and on the other assignments is just so one thing that essentially I'm talking about from birth, that we parents or society gives people as who they become is they become a controlled person.
Right. Yeah. There was a talk show host, I think in the late 80s, but certainly in the 90s. His name was Dr. David Viscott, and he was a brilliant guy. I enjoyed listening to him on the radio, and then I got some of his books that he published. He had some audio tapes in the 90s. We had tapes. We didn't have CDs. Now CDs are pretty much gone. But yeah, and what he would do on the radio is he would like cut to the chase in about 3 minutes with the person who was calling in, and he would do like, I'm not going to even say brief therapy, like instantaneous therapy with them. And then he opened up some centers called the Viscott Centers, where he would teach therapists his method. And his method was that there were certain things that you would do to help the person cut to the chase of what their struggles were. You would spend a few hours with them, and you would have them tape record the sessions. And that would be the extent of the therapy, and then they would go home and listen to the tapes and work on it, which I thought was a little too glib. It was a little, to me, it didn't really attend to the fact that people have to process things slowly and need help during that. But one of the things that Dr. Viscott said that I did like was he said, when a child is born, he said there's only one correct question to ask, and that question is, who have we here? That's the only question that we should be asking. Who have we here? Rather than what you were just talking about, Dr. Rashidian, which was who can I make this person into?
Yes.
So who have we here says this is a unique individual who's bringing to this world talents and abilities that it's up to me to help them discover, uncover, utilize to their benefit and to aid the world.
Exactly.
And that, to me, that's where we need to be.
Right. And that's love, right?
Yes.
Love is that for us to value our existence, value who we are in this process of existence, not try to shape, reshape, or reformat who we are as a person, and to just have the sense of gratitude for having each other in our lives, with all the differences that we have, because those differences are our uniquenesses, right?
Yes.
And if we don't agree with our uniquenesses, we're creating hostility, not love. If we don't accept differences, we're not allowing a loving place, a safe environment for us to be who we are. And that's where the struggle is, that in the name of love, we think we can make people to become what we believe is right for them and is right for us. So essentially we're looking at us versus who we have here, like you said.
Yes. Yeah. It's become a very, very big problem in the world, and it's become a very, very big problem in our country, in the United States. We are trying to force other people into our viewpoints rather than allow people to express their viewpoints and to say, I agree with that. I think you're right about this. I don't think you're right about that. I disagree with that. And the other person to say, Thank you for your opinion. I really appreciate your feedback. Tell me more about what you like and what you don't like about what I've said.
Yeah.
See, and when we and that's really the foundation that our country was born on, which was a respectful a respectful acknowledgement that we're all in this together, and that we can solve our problems together, even though we have different viewpoints. And when we start believing that my viewpoint is the right viewpoint, the only right viewpoint, and we demonize people who have different views, we are going way off track. We're not coming from a place of love. We're coming from a place of control.
Right.
We're coming from often a place of fear. I don't, if you don't validate my reality, then it causes me to be insecure, and I don't like how it feels to be insecure. So I'm going to invalidate your reality. And now we're in almost to the point where we're in a civil war, and it's very sad. It's very sad because it doesn't have to be that way. If we come to a place where we recognize that we all have something valid to contribute, even whether we agree or not, we can move back to the right place.
Exactly. And with that, we get back to this subject right after our commercial breaks. Please join us in a few minutes.
Every Thursday afternoon, beginning at 4 o'clock p.m.
Welcome back from our commercial break. Dr. Mitra and Dr. Robert here at the Heart to Heart program at KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio Live. We are talking about basically process of life today, and how sense of gratitude is important in our life, and how love is important in our life, and also how we, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, in the name of other formats of love, we take our authenticity away from us.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, our authenticity is our ability to desire the best for ourselves and for others.
Exactly.
And for those who don't desire the best for others, usually people desire the best for themselves. That's generally not problematic. But desiring the best for yourself and for others means that you have to cultivate the ability to be unselfish as well as selfish. It's interesting to me that selfish has taken on sort of a negative tone when people say, oh, you're being selfish, or I don't want to be selfish. Whereas I say to everybody, well, of course you do want to be selfish, and of course I want to be selfish. Selfish simply means that we have a self, and we want things for that self to feel good.
Yeah.
Right? So we want generally we want money. Generally we want possessions.
We want to focus on ourselves.
We want to focus on ourselves. We want what we want.
Yeah.
And that's human. And so there aren't humans who are born without wants.
Yeah, but selfish becomes dangerous when we violate the right of others.
Correct.
At the cost of what we want to get.
Correct.
Or to what we want to receive. So that's the danger of
right.
What's been known as selfishness is when we violate somebody else's right at the cost of what I want to get for myself.
Or we overdevelop that part of us that wants for ourselves and underdevelop the part of us that wants for others.
Right.
Because as much as we are all selfish, we are also all unselfish. Finding the ideal place between being selfish and being unselfish, to me, is the human journey. And if we are so unselfish that we don't care at all about ourselves, often we find ourselves resentful. because we're giving too much of ourselves away. And I have met people that do that.
Yeah.
And then when they don't get back from other people what they are giving to other people, then they feel resentful, and they feel put upon, not realizing that it's up to them to take care of themselves, not just other people. So finding that place where we can be both is challenging, and yet that's still the task for us.
Yes. And challenges in life are not known about. Some are predictable, like going to school can have challenges. Going to high school has its own challenges. Going to college, going to work, many things in life, they just are, include challenges included in that. And then there are challenges that we create for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, how much we want of something when it passes the realistic line, right, or capacity, right?
What do you mean?
For example, money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we all have, we most of us have a profession, we make money. So depending on how much we're making, per year, we have a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then thankfully, many people are happy with that. But there are a group of people that they look at each other and they want more of what they have and more of what everybody else have,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is as though for them more means more. More means
More means no. More means better.
better, right?
Right.
More means more, better life, better person, better personality, better prestige, better everything that people want to attribute the better concept to something in their life,
Mm-hmm.
right? But once they get to that better, then they look at the other better, which is one level up.
Yeah, yeah. See, I don't really have a problem with that kind of thinking. To me, it depends on the why. Why do
The
I
why,
want more?
yes.
See,
Why do I want more?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if I want more money, for example, so that I can be more philanthropic, and I can give money away, such as what Tony Robbins does. Tony Robbins I think he's a billionaire. I don't think he's a millionaire. I think he's a billionaire, but he does so much charitable work and and helps so many people. He helps people not only through money, but he also does acts of service for people, and he also teaches people how to be more successful in their life. So I don't have a problem with Tony Robbins, which I believe I just heard that he has so many businesses. I think he has hundreds or thousands of businesses that bring him in approximately $8 to $9 billion a year. But what he does with that is he helps others.
Yes.
And so wanting more for that reason is a great reason. Even wanting more because you want to have a lot of homes, is not a bad thing. But I think wanting more so that you can control others, and that you use that control in a way that isn't beneficial to them, then that's a problem.
Exactly. And then many people that they want more is also about how unhappy they are with themselves
Mm-hmm.
and how unhappy they are with their lives, and how they are unhappy in their interaction with others too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we see people who are blamers, and then blame basically it has no function but the discharge of, like Brene Brown said, has no function but discharge of one's unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the blame is. Otherwise it doesn't serve anything, and then what it does can have a negative impact on the other person, the receiver of the blame. But ultimately that's as far as the blame goes. And but some people, that's their style of communication, right? And so not getting out of the subject, so there are people that no matter what they have, no matter what they get, no matter what achievement they make, they just are unhappy people. And then to satisfy that unhappiness is what drives them, what motivates them to go for more of a whatever that they look for. But then again, there is no cap about their, their unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
They keep, the more actually they get, the more they achieve, the more unhappy they become. Because the source of unhappiness is not their achievement. The source of unhappiness is about how they look at themselves as a person and how they look at the world around them.
Correct.
And how they look at people that they are in their lives.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So that's another part of that to consider.
So the people that we look up to, Jesus, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, these are people who rally other people to be more loving. And that means that means that when you're more loving, you're not blaming. You're saying, I'm going to move towards what I want, not away from what I don't want. Mother Teresa was invited to an anti-war rally, and she declined. And she said, I'm not going to go to an anti-war rally. However, if you have a pro-peace rally, I will be there.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's a big difference. An anti-war rally is going to be controversial. Well, wait a second, we do need wars. How about World War II, when we were fighting the Japanese and the Germans and they were trying to take over the world? Oh, and how dare you say we don't need war? And that becomes, but if you have a pro-peace rally, it's not going to elicit negativity. There's going to be very few people, if any, who are going to say, no, I don't want peace, right? Even if deep down they don't want it, they're not going to say it because it sounds kind of ridiculous.
Right.
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 Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. And as he was shot and he was dying on the floor, he said to his followers, he said, please don't punish them. Please don't punish him, the guy who shot him. He was only doing what he thought was right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, there aren't too many of us that can get there, but my belief is that our desire to get to that place where we're no longer blaming, but we're working on understanding and empathizing. Now, does that mean that we should allow other people to do evil and not have consequences? No. Definitely we need prisons. We need people to be accountable, and if they break the law, they need to be in prison. The question is, when they're in prison, do we want to punish them, or do we want to try to rehabilitate them? Now, there are people who cannot be rehabilitated,
Right.
but does that mean we shouldn't try?
No, of course not. Everybody deserves a chance in their life. Everybody deserves to be understood. Everybody deserves to be able to talk about what's going on with them. And then, of course, certain actions and certain choices that they are harmful to others can have consequences. But learning and understanding the essence of what makes a person to think the way they do is the key factor.
Yes.
Once we understand, we have no bias. Once we understand, we get it. We don't think differently. It's the getting of the person that is the essence of love.
That's a good quote.
Oh, I just made it up.
I know you did, and that's a good quote. It's the getting of the person that is
Right.
the essence of love.
It's
I
the
love
essence
that.
of-
I
yes.
love that.
Yes.
Write it down so you have it for the next time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the getting of the person.
Well, I don't need to write it down.
Well, no, it's you have it in your mind now, but it'll be gone as soon as you focus on something else. It's the getting. And what does it
Right.
mean to get someone? It means that you're no longer in judgment. And I believe that if we were to take a person from history, let's say one of the people that we look at as one of the darkest figures in history, Adolf Hitler. If we were to take Hitler and make a movie and show the defining moments of his life, to show exactly why he believed and why he did what he did, We may not agree, we may still not like him, but we would develop more empathy because we would understand exactly what formed him and the way he acted.
Yes.
And,
It
and,
doesn't
and
mean that his actions were and choices and beliefs were acceptable,
correct.
but still, we would have had a sense of what was going on so that we could have helped the guy,
Yeah.
maybe, or helped the humanity.
Or,
So
it-
that
or,
all
it-
of
or
that
at
wouldn't
least
happen.
at least not become part of the problem by creating more hate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I've hear from parents, I hear from children that they complain about significant family members that they are what they are, then they are always angry, or they are so this, or they're unhappy, or they never like us, or and then I said, how much do you understand this individual? How much can you look at beyond what is up? If we can allow ourselves to be patient enough, and then to look beyond what is obvious and bypass that that defense that makes a person look in a certain way, then we get to see the vulnerable part of the, ourselves, the part that is loving, the part that wants to connect, the part that is so valuable. And if we get there, that deserves the highest sense of gratitude in life.
Thank you so much for that beautifully said ending to our show.
My pleasure. So with that, don't forget, until the next time we meet, all you need is love.
All you need is love, and start with love of self and then expand it to love of the people around you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.